Jacinta Veronica Cador, also known as Nana of Grand Roy St. John, passed away on Friday, 16th September 2022 at the age of 64. She was the mother of Antonia Cador Caliste, Aquino and Anisha Cador, grandmother of Onika, Okela and Omira, daughter of Anna Cador, sister of Agnes, Joseph and Paul, Floris Paul and Evadne Drakes, aunt of many including Simone, Shamion, Kaylee, Kevon, Dale, Kishayon, Jamie and Henri, mother-in-law of Simeon Caliste and Cindy Campbell Cador, sister-in-law of Keith Paul, Dennis Protein and Jacqueline Cador, caregivers Alicia Fletcher and Yvette Moses. Many cousins, other relatives and friends including members of the Mispel Lodge, numbers 3 and 7, Angus Hackett, Dennis Tobias and family, Michael Bartholomew, the James, Passay, Marisho, Abraham, Edwards and McEwen families of Grand Roy, the Caliste and Fletcher families of Paradise, and friends and neighbours of Grand Roy and surrounding areas. The funeral service for the late Jacinta Veronica Cador, also known as Nana of Grand Roy St. John, will take place on Tuesday, October 4th at 1:30 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Grand Roy Catholic Church, and interment will be at the Family Cemetery, Grand Roy. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Glenn Bartholomew, also known as Jacket, of New Hampshire St. George, passed away on Wednesday, 7th September 2022, at the age of 75. He was the nephew of Edwards Radix, also known as Abu, adopted father of Cheryl, Shirlene in the USA, Cheryl Hines, also known as Cheryl, Rachel, Eric, Luann, Aisha, and Rondell, brother of Jean, Charles, and Magdamus, uncle of many, including Ingrid and Kenny in the USA, Ron, Candace, Terry-Ann, Sandra, Marlon, Linda, Cindy, Kathy, Kamasha, Dale, Cindy, Eddie, and Nicole. Grand-uncle of many, including Elisa, Janae, Ellen, Zuri, and Kaylee. Father-in-law of David and Tanisha. Brother-in-law of Victor. Other relatives and friends including the Superville, Charles, and Frank families of New Hampshire, the Greenwich family of Snug Corner, the Bartholomew families of Bolio, Lamode, and River Road, Margaret Samuel and family, Ivy Medford and the Hines family of Montmoritz, the management and staff of George F. Huggins Distribution Division, Percy, Brother, Kent and Odie, and friends and neighbors of New Hampshire and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Glenn Bartholomew, also known as Jacket of New Hampshire St. George, will take place on Wednesday, October 5th at 1:30 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. George's Anglican Church, and interment will be at the Wilberforce Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Florence Cador, also known as Teacher Gloria of Blackbay St. John, passed away on Wednesday, 14th September 2022, at the age of 76. She was the wife of Anthony Cador, also known as Teacher Anthony, mother of Albin in the USA, Deborah, Adrian, and Atkinson in Grenada, grandmother of Amber, Samori, and Macassie in the USA, Amira and Kayla in Grenada, sister of Veronica Cador, also known as Sister Cador, and Isaiah in Grenada, Linda Stewart in the United Kingdom, and Patrice Mans in the USA, sister-in-law of Michael Cador, also known as Canto in the USA, mother-in-law of Sherry-Ann in the US, Danisha and Natalie in Grenada, aunt of many including Leroy and Conrad Samuel, Wayne Cador, and Dr. Eugene Mans in the USA, Abigail and Lindsay Stewart in the UK, Diane Joseph and Nicole Herrick in Grenada, aunt-in-law of many including Gwendolyn Scott and Michael Cador in Grenada, Mary Nelson in Canada, Michelle and Zoe Cador in the USA. Many cousins, other relatives and close friends including Marjorie Cadet and family, Alma Badnock, Canute Adonis and family in the USA, Clara Cador and family in Canada, Agnes Joseph, Lorna Mark, the Cador, Samuel and Chambers families of Brazan, Marigot, Grand Roy and Mount Plaisir, Janice Thomas and family, Nurse Marquez and family, Rachel Seeley and family, Hazel McEwen, Carolyn Honore, Lucille Joseph, Kendall St. John and family, Ulrika and Shirley Entwine, Rachel Brown, the boys at Rachel's shop, the parish priest and parishioners of the Concord Roman Catholic Church, past and present teachers of the Concord and Grand Roy Government Schools, members of the St. John's Charter of Retired Teachers Association, and friends and neighbours of Blackbay and surrounding areas. The funeral service for the late Florence Cador, also known as Teacher Gloria of Blackbay St. John, will take place on Wednesday, October 5th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Our Lady of the Rosary Catholic Church, Concord St. John, and entombment will be at the Power Park Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Anderson Eugene Williams, also known as Andy Grant and Pods, of Grove St. John, passed away on Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, at the age of 63. He was the son of Fred Grant and Joan Williams, father of Andel and Gabriel Phillip, adopted father of Valden Francis, Valden Mitchell, and Jamie George, brother of many including Angela Richards in the USA, Leo Richards, also known as Monkey Toe, and all the children of Fred Grant, adopted brother of Angela Caliste in the USA, close and dear friend of Lynthia Phillip, nephew of Addie Williams Richmond in the USA, and Jenny Williams, uncle and grand-uncle of many including Ashmotel Richards Julian and Shahida Marshall, father-in-law of Marcus Samuel, many cousins, other relatives and close friends including Val Williams, Margaret Williams Mitchell of Grove, Eddie Caliste and siblings in Grenada and the USA, Catherine Noel, Lynette Mahabin in the USA, Gloria Welch, Marlon and Dwayne Glean, Carlson George and family, Junior Williams, Chris Paris, Chris Best, Vernella Langine, Keisha Simon and Clara Thomas, and friends and neighbours of Grove and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Anderson Eugene Williams, also known as Andy Grant and Pods, of Grove St. John, will take place on Wednesday, October 5th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Open Bible Church Grove, and interment will be at the Douglaston Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. O'Carroll Gabriel Thomas, also known as Kai, of Munich, who resided at Grand Bachelet St. Andrew, a retired pharmacist, passed away on Tuesday, 13 September 2022, at the age of 87. He was the husband of Teresa Thomas, father of Alva, Filbert, and Alfred, stepfather of Verlin, grandfather of Xavier, Kiana, and Wyatt, brother of Irvin and Israel, brother-in-law of Madonna, Augustine, Mago, Annie, Alice, and Anne, also known as Baby, father-in-law of Sylvia and Kimetta, uncle of 15 including Raoul, Ian, Frederick, Yvonne, Dickinson, Allison, and Aaron, great-grand-uncle of Lance, godfather of many including Pammy and Sharma Lee, many other relatives and close friends including Mr. and Mrs. Clive Alexis, Claudette and family, Mary and the Mason family of Grand Bachelet, Peter Mark, Eulin and family, the Thomas and Rouget families, Zambo and Gibbs family of Munich, the Joseph family of Carriacou, the Thomas family of Plaisance, the Charles family of St. Patrick, the Thomas family of Mamican, the Alexander family of Mamican and Crowshoe, the Noel family of Felix Park, the Fitzpatrick family of Grenville, the priests and members of the St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church and St. Vincent de Paul, members of the Pharmacy Council, and friends and neighbours of Crowshoe and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late O'Carroll Gabriel Thomas, also known as Kai, of Munich, who resided at Grand Bachelet St. Andrew, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church, Crowshoe, St. Andrew, and interment will be at the Churchyard Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Maria Olivera Victor, also known as V of Sater St. Patrick, passed away on Thursday, September 1st, 2022, at the age of 73. She was the mother of Henry, Kathy Ann, Yolande, Tracy, and Jason Victor, father of her children George Alexis, adopted mother of Sonia Iginua, grandmother of Jade Paul, Joshua Ilahi, Rondell Griffith, Hensley and Brianna Victor, Kareem Phillip, Jamil Hilaire, Jelani, Natifa and Jamil Franklin, and Jeremy Alexis Victor, great-grandmother of 6, sister of Edna Lawrence, Sylvester and Phyllis Victor, aunt of Joan, Tony, Junior, Cheryl, Sylvia and Raphael, godmother of Crystal Hilaire. Many other relatives and close friends including Marilyn Nurse, the Jeremiah, Miller, Alexis, Adams and Belfort families, Dr. Mark in Saudi Arabia, the Ferrandas family in Singapore, the Bain and Victor families of Padmatar, Mary Pascal, Loyola Fletcher, John Raymond Cato, Maria Prince, Deliva Lewis, Maureen Wilson, Lazarus Mark, Rita Francois, Agatha Young, Joan Warwood, Annie Bernard, and friends and neighbors of Sataz and the surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Maria Olive Vera Victor, also known as V, of Sataz St. Patrick, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Sataz RC Church, and entombment will be at the Marley Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Mary Ann Daisy Mitchell, also known as Ma Days of Grand Roy St. John, passed away on Thursday, 15th September 2022, at the age of 76. She was the mother of Stephen St. John and Diane Mitchell Batiste in Grenada and Keisha Nash in the USA. Grandmother of 8 including Marissa, Stephen, Jamal, Elijah, Kishon and Tahim. Great-grandmother of Jeremiah and Hosea. Sister of Hubert, Glenda and Angela in Grenada, Phyllis in the USA, Mary, Cecilia and Sally in the UK, Lynette and Lindy in Trinidad. Niece of Agatha Registe in the UK, mother-in-law of Kenville Batiste in Grenada and Kellon Nash in the USA. Aunt of many including Lynthia Mitchell Azor, Lycia, Lincoln, Kedra and Stephanie. Grand-aunt of many. Many cousins, other relatives and close friends including Marcia Registe in Saudi Arabia, Peter Registe in the UK, Winston Otley in Trinidad, Ralph, Bernadette Murray and family, Daphne Howell, Nadjalyn Mitchell, Irma Henry, Pastor Harrison George and family, Pastor Sperry Binder and family, Jacqueline and Merrill Holder, lawyer Arlie Gill, and friends and neighbors of Mount Plaisir, Grand Roy and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Mary Ann Daisy Mitchell, also known as Ma Days of Grand Roy St. John, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Grand Roy, according to Grenada Baptist rites, and interment will be at the Family Cemetery, Grand Roy. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Olive Francisca Thomas of Fort St. Andrew passed away on Monday 26th September 2022 at the age of 69. She was the mother of Wendell, Nathalie and Marvin, grandmother of Kalani, Casida, Akeem, Akima, Nathan and Everton, mother-in-law of Fabian Mitchell, sister of James, Matthew, Dean, Denise, Jean, Anne, Rita, Sarah and Omega, aunt of many. Many other relatives and friends including members of the Telescope Seventh-day Adventist Church, Rhonda Charles, Nurse Yomi, Cho's Health Foundation, Tonty B, Miss Wilson, Ashley, Savalin, the Thomas and Frederick families of Lafayette, the Moraine and Mitchell families of Pomerose, the Whiteman family of Content, the Augustine family of Montfan, the Wickham and Rush families, the Moraine family of Petite Esperance, the Hippolyte family of Thebaid, and friends and neighbors of Ford and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Olive Francisca Thomas of Fort St. Andrew will take place on Tuesday, 11th October 3rd at 2 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Paradise, St. Andrew, and interment will be at the Grand Bras Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Thomas Mitchell, also known as My Lord of Crowshoe St. Andrew, passed away on Thursday, 22nd September 2022, at the age of 79. He was the brother of Lillian, Teresa, Matthias, Yvonne, Essie, Meralda, and Inez. Many nieces and nephews. Other relatives and friends including friends and neighbors of Crowshoe St. Andrew. A memorial service for the late Thomas Mitchell, also known as My Lord of Crowshoe St. Andrew, will be announced at a later date. Arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home.
Gabrielle Gloria Crosby, also known as Gabby, of Waltham St. Mark, who resided in the USA, passed away on Monday, 26 September, at the age of 13. The funeral of the late Gabrielle Gloria Crosby, of Waltham St. Mark, who resided in the USA, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Anne Jeffrey, née Fortune, of La Fortune, who resided at Cedars, Maday, St. Patrick, passed away on Thursday, 29 September, at the age of 84. The funeral arrangements of the late Anne Jeffrey, née Fortune, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
Lorna Maria George, also known as Natty, of Union St. Mark, who resided at Grand Roy St. John, passed away on Wednesday, 21st September 2022, at the age of 59. The funeral arrangements for the late Lorna Maria George, also known as Natty, of Union St. Mark, who resided at Grand Roy St. John, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Anthony Edward Bedeau, also known as Mosoki, of Belmont Carriacou, who resided at Lamode St. Patrick, passed away on Sunday 25th September 2022, at the age of 55. The funeral arrangements for the late Anthony Edward Bedeau, also known as Mosoki, of Belmont Carriacou, who resided at Lamode St. Patrick, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Lynthia Patris, also known as Teacher Lynn, of Meldrum Carriacou, passed away on Saturday 24th September 2022, at the age of 54. The funeral arrangements for the late Lynthia Patris, also known as Teacher Lynn, of Meldrum Carriacou, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home.
The management and staff of MTV extend deepest condolences to those of you whose loved ones have passed on. Thank you for watching.
I am Godwill James, an MD and a member of Gateway Assembly. Medically, death is regarded as an end or a cessation of life. Different groups view death in different perspectives. While some regard death as a continuation of life, others view it as an infeeble form of life. As a Christian, we may want to view death as a separation of the soul from the body. So, whichever way one may view death, I want to say that may the gentle soul of the faithful departed rest in the bosom of the Lord. Amen.